I try.
All right, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular board meeting of the Indian Wells Valley Water District, Monday, April 14th, 2025. We're going to call the session to order at 4:30 p.m. If you'd all rise, please, and Director Boyd, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please. Place your right hand on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
President St. Amand,
Present.
Vice President Griffin, Director Boyd,
Here.
Director Kaczynski,
Here.
Director Rotora.
Here.
Thank you. Posting of agenda declaration.
The agenda for today's regular board meeting was posted on Thursday, April 10th, 2025.
Perfect, thank you. Conflict of interest declaration.
President St. Amand,
I have none.
Vice President Griffin is absent, Director Boyd,
None.
Director Kaczynski,
None.
Director Rotora.
None.
All right, thank you. Item number 6, public questions and comments on the closed session. We have no members of the public present here, and it does not appear that there are any online. So we'll go ahead and close the open session and open the closed session in about 5 minutes. So we're going to close the open session at 4:31 p.m. Thank you. Right, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to item 8, we have 2 items of business to conduct. If you wouldn't mind, please repeating the roll call and the statement, conflict of interest statement.
President St. Amand.
Present?
Vice President Griffin.
Here.
Director Boyd.
Here.
Here.
Director
I'm sorry.
Kaczynski.
I'm sorry.
Director Kaczynski.
Here.
Director Ratora.
Here.
Conflict of interest, President St. Amand.
None?
Vice President Griffin.
None.
Director Boyd.
None.
Director Kaczynski.
None.
Director Ratora.
None. All right, thank you. Mr. Worth, would you like to provide us with a report on the closed session, please?
The board met with staff and legal counsel on the items under closed session. No action was taken that requires disclosure.
Thank you, sir. Item 8, public questions and comments. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the board of directors on any item not appearing on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forth for consideration by the board. When you're recognized by the chairperson, please state your name for the record. Do we have any public comments?
You get a plus for oral reading. Judy Decker, President of the Eastern Kern County Resource Conservation District. On Saturday, I and some of my board members attended the same event that your staff did on conservation. I had a little conversation with Lauren over the landscape books that you are handing out, that you've handed out for quite a number of years. It's an excellent booklet, I guess I should call it. The RCD has discussed the book as well. And as you know, every year we have our drought-tolerant native plant sale. That is, we get as many native plants as we can for people to use in their yard because they're even more drought tolerant than the drought tolerant plants that are generally available. And I was wondering if, because I know the book, I remember when Jennifer got a hold of it when she was the finance officer, I believe, that it is quite expensive. And I wondered if we could work together to put out a book that we could both hand out to the public. I think the book I'm talking about was originally created by the Palmdale Water District, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It was quite a long time ago. And so I wondered if we could get together and talk about doing this. There's also another smaller book that is also a good resource for the public, and maybe we should talk about reprinting both of those. Perhaps changing some of it. We do have a biologist on our board. She teaches at Burroughs High School. And I think some of the plants that are in it are not quite right for here. They're okay for Palmdale, but they get more rain and cooler temperatures than we do. So if, we could adjust it and put it out together, I think that would be a good community project for our 2 agencies. If you would so consider it, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Judy, do you by chance could you get a cost on those books? And then maybe we could add it to our workshop in July and maybe we could have a presentation? Because I think it's a good idea to work in coalition with you guys. And if we could maybe do it at the workshop where you guys could give a presentation.
I know that our administrative assistant is Nancy Gooch. And I believe she talked to either George or Don in the past about it, and it's seems the history of the origin of the book seems to be unclear. There's a lot of, it was put together, it was sponsored by a lot of entities, the Palmdale Water District. Is our name on it, the Indian Wells Valley Water District? I can't remember.
The district's name, yes.
Yes, and but there are quite a few others, and I don't know how the legal process for that would go, whether we would have to get permission from all those entities. I suspect we might. But I'll see what we can do. As you know, we're an all volunteer group with one part-time employee, so
Thank you.
maybe we could meet together in some sort of committee meeting once in a while on this.
Right. Director Kozinski?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because first of all, I know what books you're talking about. It's a color glossy. It's probably not cheap. And I think that if we worked with, I know we can't discuss where we're going with this. I think it's a good idea that we work, and if we can publish one that's local here and a good looking one, I don't mean just, black and white and here's what we need to do, but a good looking book, and I think we could do it better. I think it's worth talking about. I think the workshop might be the place to do that. So I'm not sure how I would recommend that. George, maybe talk with Judy and set up a plan how we can address that.
What committee has the conservation in it? One of our committees, I'm pretty sure, has conservation listed under.
At this point, let George get some groundwork together, and then I think if it came to a committee, I think we push that under admin. Is where we
Well,
get-
I've got a copy of that, at least that one magazine, and it is it's
Yes.
a nice looking, well done.
Yeah.
And that's my thought, Stan. It would be if we could do it at the workshop, discuss it. It may be even something that we could work with Home Depot and some of them to put out.
That's a good idea.
If we got an agreement together we could work together. But I think the workshop's probably the time to do it, and it's coming up in a few.
So
Okay, but I think some homework on both sides needs to be done ahead of time. My suggestion, I was talking to Lauren about it, is printing it in color, of course, but on not such fancy, high quality. It's heavy, glossy paper, which I know is very expensive.
Jim?
So,
Yeah, I agree. Everything sounds wonderful, but we're starting to get into a long conversation or a public comment. Nothing substantive,
Okay.
but you're supposed to make a couple comments. Tell George to work with her, and that would be sufficient, I believe. Thank you.
Consider it done.
All right, thank you very much. Were there any other comments? I see no one online. All right. Very good. Let's move on to item 9A, consent calendar. Approval of the board meeting minutes and the account payable disbursements. Is there any discussion?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second
that.
I have a question.
All right, so any public comment? All right, Director Griffin.
I don't know if we need to remove the special board meeting to comment on it. Do we have to remove that to approve it, or? Can I
Unless you're
make
going
a-
to change
can I
the
just make-
minutes.
I'm not going to change the
Oh.
minutes. I just have a generic comment on that. I was not in attendance on that, so I'd like it publicly stated that I don't approve of a change order to our contractor prior to them cleaning up their disposed of pipe illegally. So that frustrates me a little bit.
Okay, thank you. So noted. Anything else? I have a motion and a second. Call. Oh, yes, yeah. Mhm. Let's call for the vote, please. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, 9B, salary survey. Who wants to tackle that? Oh, yikes.
We do it?
I'll let Jason tackle this one because he puts together a lot of the data, if I'm not mistaken.
So as you are all aware, annually, the district looks at other districts who are similar in structure with jobs that their duties are similar. Looks at their salary ranges and adjusts according to cost of living factors and brings that back to the board. And what you see before you is the latest of all the data. The ones at the bottom that have anything that is outside the 5% would require adjustments to the range. So there's two at the bottom there, have a 6% and a 5.2%. Those would require increases to the top end. And then, of course, the entry levels have a bunch of them that are outside the range that would require increases. This is
Ty, do you want to comment on what sort of financial impact that might have to the district?
So it doesn't go into effect until the next budget year,
Good.
July 1st, so it would be incorporated into the budget. Not a huge financial.
We're talking about very small percentages.
Yeah.
small percentages. And the way it's been done in the past is the adjustment is to the range and not to the person.
The only time that it would affect directly is if they're below the lowest range, then we make that up.
Bump them
But
up.
we don't have
Okay.
anyone in that category at this time.
And the
But if
ones,
you were at the top of the range and it moved up, you could.
You would
You could potentially get a raise to a little higher level as
You
well.
get a raise during your evaluation period.
Yeah, so it's a fairly minimal impact.
and
Director
those,
Boyd?
and those that are over right now, I think are represented by a negative number, or those, do they basically just stay?
Their top end,
current salary
their
until
top
they
end,
catch up?
their top end is frozen. And so any COLA adjustments that may come out in July would not affect them
Okay, until they're
within range.
until they're positive or neutral. Okay, thank you.
Are the percentages relative to the average, or what are the percentages relative to?
To the average salary, yeah.
The average salary, so the 5.2 means that the average is 5.2% greater than the 129 that is shown?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Any
That's
other-
what I assumed, but I wanted to make sure.
Roger that. Any other questions from the directors? Any
No.
public comment? All right,
We have one.
go ahead. Caller? Looks like Renee. Renee, are you on mute?
She seems to be having trouble unmuting.
Okay,
I have a quick question while she's doing that.
all right.
We're just looking for acceptance of this salary survey? Is that all you're going to be looking for tonight?
You're gonna make a motion.
To make a motion to accept the salary survey? Okay. Nothing from Renee?
No, she's having trouble communication.
Yeah.
Mr. President, while we're waiting, I would also state that this is required pursuant to the MOU. So we're just doing what is in the MOU. That's all.
Hi, Renee, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a question. Well, I don't really know what the current salaries are. They show current entry and current max. So this is if they were a new hire is the current entry level,
Yes.
Yes,
and then the current max.
Is the amount that if you'd been here for an extraordinarily long period of time and got promoted or had gotten raises, that's the maximum in that position you could make?
I think she
Okay.
wants to know, is there anybody close to the max right now?
There are multiple people that are.
Many
maxed out.
people that are at the max.
Okay,
But we have people who've been here more than 20 years, so.
all right. Did that answer your question, Renee?
Yes,
Were there any other questions?
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept what was the
Great.
official title of this? Yeah, I'm sorry, the salary survey.
And
It's called-
adjust the salaries accordingly.
And adjust the salaries accordingly.
I'll second that.
So we have a first and a second. Let's go ahead and call for the vote, please.
Ooh.
Good that we do this. This is important.
It is. It's very important. I agree. All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Who's the second?
I did.
All right, 9, Charlie, Administrative Executive Committee, Resolution 2502, support the nomination of Melody McDonald as candidate for reelection to the Aqua JPIA Executive Committee.
brought this to George's attention. I received a letter. Somehow I've gotten on the JPIA interested party list, so I get these occasional letters of nomination. I don't know if anybody else on the board had received one, so I thought it would be worth our knowledge of it. But anyway, they're basically looking for support. I guess they've got some nominations and some, coming up. So I have no background on the young lady. I've tried to get some information, but I've got no information on her. So I don't know if anybody else does or not. Or
Everything.
No, I think that at the admin exec, that's what we had hoped that you could give us some info on her. So
Sorry about
are
that.
there other candidates running for her position or?
I do not know that either. This is the only one that I received, and it was not clear how I received it, if it came directly from her or if it was forwarded by a current JPIA member that wanted to get my attention. So I apologize. I just,
That's okay. It is what it is.
it
And
is
that's,
what it is.
and that's my biggest question is, if there's other people running without knowing a background, I don't want to just say, well, yeah, well, let's support her when not knowing what the other ones might stand for. I don't know when the deadline is to make that decision.
Well, Jim has a comment and then I have a comment.
Well, first of all, there's no requirement that, that the district recommend or support anybody for that. So, and we have not recommended people because nobody knew who they were before. So there's little precedent for that. That's all.
So maybe just a neutral response is appropriate.
So there really wasn't any information from the candidate when she
I
contacted you.
gave everything I had to George.
Right. So normally if I saw somebody with a candidate statement in the handout from normal elections, I would be more inclined to vote for them because they took the time to write a statement.
Does anybody know this person?
No, I
One
don't,
does?
so.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that,
I
I don't know that we should recommend somebody if we don't know anything about her.
this is what I would say, is this particular point, we don't recommend.
Yes, we've taken a no position.
Yeah, I remember.
Take no position unless,
Someone didn't
Okay, well, let's,
outright.
If nobody makes a motion, it dies.
Okay.
okay. Anybody any public comment on this issue?
Judy Decker again. I just note that we have the same problem with the state California Resource Conservation District Association. We don't know the people.
Okay, thank
And we
you.
do the same thing. We don't vote.
All right.
Yeah, LAFCO has kind of a similar challenge as well.
I don't hear any motion. All right, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next item C2, which is Powers Insurance Authority Executive Committee. Is that the same? No, it's different. Sorry, Draft Drug and Alcohol Policy. Good grief. Just board to review draft drug and alcohol policy for safety sensitive, subject to federal drug and alcohol testing.
Okay, so employers who have DOT drivers, which is Class B or safety sensitive positions, are subject to the FMCSA and have to do the drug and alcohol testing, the random drug and alcohol testing. And they're required to have a DOT policy in place. So we received this from Wienhoff, our third-party drug administrator, and they gave it to us. We gave it to management. Staff has briefly reviewed it as well, and legal has reviewed it. So that's the draft presented in front of you.
Okay,
I have a couple of questions.
go ahead.
I remember the policies that we had on base for people who had sensitive positions, typically higher security clearances and things, and these were all random, right? So I'm assuming this is kind of a random test, right? It's not something that is just administered because you are driving on behalf of the district, or what's the?
So all of our DOT drivers are put in a pool with several other agencies and then randomly pooled. So that's when we do test them, or if there is reasonable cause.
So
So say there was an
supervisor
accident.
can nominate somebody to.
No.
No, it's random and it's out of our control. We pulls
Because
the names.
supervisors could on base.
Oh, yeah, our supervisors cannot unless there is reasonable cause.
Well,
Okay,
And there might be reasonable cause if a supervisor was observing odd behaviors and things that,
If there were signs,
so we,
yes.
so we could do that if he felt,
If, yeah.
okay.
all right. Stan, any
you.
questions?
Thank you.
I was curious whether or not the employees have been This has been discussed with the employees.
Yes, it was distributed to all of the supervisors and managers, and they did share it with their crews. So they are well aware that this
And
is,
there's no major objections.
there is not, especially because by law, we have to do this.
Well, okay.
Stan, I have my Class A also, and you're subject to random testing. You can be drawn out of a pool of candidates. Just like Lauren stated, if you have a commercial license, you are subject to drug testing. The actual alcohol levels are lower.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had the same testing issues that Mal had, so I'm fully aware of,
Yeah.
of what's going on. I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't going to be a surprise to our employees.
Yeah, in our case that we were subject, and Dave's probably as well, subjected to were zero tolerance. And if you tag positive on any of the, controlled class 1 drugs, including marijuana, boom, it was a big problem. Well, now we live in a state which embraces marijuana use and sales. And I don't know how that flows over to our workers. I mean, are they, if they have anything above a certain level, is it,
It's all set by DOT.
Right, it's not any of it under, I'm sorry, Director Kaczynski.
Thank you. I've been waiting. This is DOT requirement. I'm very familiar with this when my former company used to do these. My question is, are we in a pool? Because the way this works is they're randomly selected. If you have very small companies, and Chuck would know this, if you only had 2 drivers, you'd be pulling them all the time. So you get involved with a company that provides a pool, and you go into that pool. Are we in one of those? We do it on our own.
We are in a pool with different agencies.
Okay, with a different agency.
All of them.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, you have a number of, the pool is designed to have, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 in it.
Mhm.
So you're not picking the same people. Who monitors that pool for, who's doing that?
That's all through Wienhoff. That's
Okay.
our third party. They handle
That's
everything.
another third party. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was asking. Thank
Director
you.
Boyd?
so I still have a little concern or clarification. Stan raised the issue. DOT is federal. Federal doesn't recognize the drugs that would be tested for the same way the state does. So if the feds determine that this person that's been tested tests positive for marijuana below a certain level, do our employees need to know they can safely smoke pot on their time or not? And, right?
That's
especially if
a
they're
direct
driving,
question,
right?
yeah.
And I don't know how to advise them on this with this.
I know that the DOT ones that I did have a couple little check boxes that, and you're required to meet one of those, or which whenever your company decides it is. And there is one that basically says all drugs, and then one of them says whatever. So the DOT determines that, and then, of course, the policy of the company. So do you have an answer for that one?
So we are zero tolerant for our DOT drivers. DOT drivers cannot have any trace of those
Okay.
drugs in their system. We do a 5-panel, and if
5
it,
pound? Okay.
if it pops, for
Right.
lack of a better phrase, we would be notified by that.
Okay, and the employees know.
Yes,
Okay.
we are
That's all I
very
need.
transparent with our employees about that.
This is the Federal Department of Transportation, not the state.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that does, no poppy seed bagels.
Right? Hey, Mythbusters proved that was true.
All right, is there any public discussion? All right, do I have a motion?
I move that we follow the committee's recommendation that we approve the policy as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Is there any additional discussion? Let's call for the vote, please. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. On to item D, retention of KP Public Affairs. Discussion of retaining KP Public Affairs as the district lobbyist to address proposed legislation that impacts groundwater adjudications and/or SIGMA. The discussion to include proposed Assembly Bill 1413 and Assembly Bill 1466. Jim, could you give us a quick rundown on those bills?
Sure. The board will recall that last year, there was some proposed legislation that impacted that would have impacted the adjudication, and we opposed that. And that was all last year. I know the board has been sent the 2 new bills that are being proposed, Bills 1413 and 1466. Bill 1413 would be devastating to our adjudication as it's a very long revision, but the bottom line is that it prevents a court from ordering that the safe yield is anything greater than the safe yield established in a GSP approved. AB 1413 seeks to make a GSP finding on the sustainable yield unassailable, meaning it's the highest we can go.
Regardless of new discoveries or.
That is correct. And then we can talk about the fallacies in a second. The second bill is 1466, and that's also impacts, but it's more about the burden of proof. It would increase the burden of proof. The district became aware of those late in March or sometime in March. And I brought it to George's attention, and we discussed it with David. This legislation moves fast. Every day, every other day, something's moving. So we thought that we needed a lobbyist in Sacramento. I did some research. I came up with a KP Public Affairs. It's specifically Brenda Bass, who has represented the Western Growers Association as well as Cal Chamber of Commerce, and she's well-versed in water. So she was a good find. I recommended it to George, and he agreed, and we talked to David, and David gave us authority to retain KP Public Affairs through the remainder of the year, through December, which will take us through the legislative year, and we can address AB 1413 and AB 1466 as they go through the committee process. The first committee hearing on the bill was held, 22nd, 15th? I believe it was February 8th. The Groundwater Authority spoke in favor of both of those bills. Chairman Heyman spoke on behalf of the GA. So we are actively opposing it. With respect to 1413, we're also seeing if we can do some type of amendments. We need to revise the amendment and the legislation some manner where it takes away unfettered discretion by a GSA and their determination. In this proposed legislation, the GSA is given much more deference than it should be. And so we are actively opposing that, and we continue to do that. I suspect that we will probably be requested to send another letter on behalf of the district in opposition to 1413 and or 1466. I don't think it's feasible for George to hold a special board meeting every time. So bottom line is what I'm looking for is the board to ratify the action to retain KP Public Affairs. For the record, it is a flat retainer of $5,000 a month within George's budget, but we took it to David. So I think it's a 40 or a 40,000 hit this year. Ty's not saying anything, so I think I'm in the, what's that?
20,000 for this year.
So there you go. And then the second point would be to give George the authority to author or sign on letters of opposition. We can work through the board president in terms of time. Our position has been to oppose unless amended. It's a legislative term apparently. I do not see that our position changing absent some of these proposed revisions being accepted. And if that occurs, we would notify the board. That's my brief review, and I'll take any questions.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So are there any questions regarding his, Jim's review? Vice President Griffin?
Really don't have a question. I just want to state that I think we need to support that. The oppose unless amended, is that how you worded it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's important. So I don't know
I
if you need a motion, but I'd like.
I see
to-
two issues here. The first one is a motion to ratify the retainer agreement with KP Public Affairs and agree to the $5,000 a month as
Mhm.
with his and George. So I'm making a motion as such to approve the ratification of the contract with KP.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay. Is there any comment from the public? Is there any additional discussion from from the directors? All right, let's go ahead and call for the vote, please.
President St. Amand.
Yes.
Vice President Griffin.
Yes.
Director Boyd.
Yes.
Director Kaczynski.
Yes.
Director Rotora.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
I'd like to thank the board for their support. Thank you.
And now I see that what we're looking for is a motion to, for the board to address 1413 and 1466. And I'll just say this briefly about those. Both of them really dig into due process. They take away due process in the system for anything to do with pretty much water. So my recommendation would be that we oppose these unless amended. So I would like to make a motion as such.
All right. Any second?
I'll second that as well.
All right. Is there anybody in the public who would like to make a comment? You'll be next, Renee. Renee, go ahead.
I wanted to know, how much is the lobbyist totally going to cost? You said 5,000 a month, but is there a large down payment fee you have to pay on top of that 5,000 a month?
No.
So,
Because I heard somebody say 20,000.
Total.
4 months left in the fiscal year. 4 months at $5,000 a month is $20,000. That would get us to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
There are no hidden costs or fees.
All right, very good. If that, Judy?
Yes. I am opposed to a process whereby the manager and the president sign off on things without board discussion ahead of time. I find this whole adjudication process very disturbing. And I asked you a month or so ago, for instance, if the public was going to be allowed to review and see the safe yield report that, as far as I know, the water district has not yet produced for the court. I find this very disconcerting and disturbing for all of the people who live here and draw their water from the aquifer.
Jim, you want to answer that?
I don't have the exact date for you, but the safe yield assessment prepared by the technical working group was released months ago. It's been on the district website for how long? We can go
No,
back.
Excuse me, apologize. I do not mean that report, I mean the model.
The model we released pursuant to court order on April 21st.
Which hasn't come yet.
No, but it's a week away and it will.
And I asked you if it would be available to the public.
It will be available when it's ready to be available, which is going to be April 21st.
And
1 week.
I'll just respond real quick. Well, I didn't get any response from the board. I have forwarded numerous emails regarding the two bills in question to the board. And they were well aware of my intention as the general manager, and they are welcome to take whatever action they want against me.
This
The
is
funds
not
are
a-
within my jurisdiction, and in no way was the board unaware of the actions I was taking, although the Brown Act prevents them from getting together unless I call a formal meeting, but
Right.
there was no need for that. It was obvious where we were going.
At the same time, the public does not know about it. And my comment is not about you, George. I'm not criticizing you. I'm criticizing your hasty process of going forward in this manner. I quite frankly don't follow the state legislature and their constant creation of new bills and laws until they get serious about things, and did not know about these two items. But that's my fault, not your fault. But you have many of your customers, many of the people who are impacted by your withdrawal of water, as well as other large water producers in the valley. And we need to solve the problem, not for us, because at this point, I'm not sure where any of us here will be alive when it's settled. But you have children and grandchildren, and it's for their future.
So with regard to responding to legislation, I think the real ire should be directed to the Groundwater Authority, who had some part in having the legislation proposed without, as far as I know, a public discussion. So we're responding to that. And our general manager is well within his limits to start this initiative because it falls within his budgetary restraints, and his communication with me was as a courtesy.
If I may?
Please.
And Judy, you also said that hasty. I will agree with you that the legislative process is hasty. There was a hearing before the Parks, Wildlife, and Water Committee on the 8th. There's a subsequent committee, Judiciary Committee on February 22nd. There are
April
emails.
22nd.
I'm sorry, April 22nd. And so we are just trying to react to what's going on, and it's just not feasible to hold a special board meeting every week or every other day to keep them advised. And so I hope you appreciate that as well. And we are responding to what was initiated.
George, now, I'm assuming this authority that we just gave you is specifically for this legislation and doesn't cover anything else.
That's correct. But I will say that if you go on the, and you have to find this stuff, you have to go on the state website and you'd have to type in adjudication, and you'll find that there are groundwater adjudication bills. There might be 20 bills just in this legislative session that you have to scroll through and see. So there, it takes time to both look at what's proposed, who's proposing it, and to determine whether it would or would not have an impact on the actions that we've already taken and the board fully supports, such as the adjudication.
No, that's what I was thinking. I just wanted to make it clear to all of us and the public.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the case.
Question. Did I hear you correctly that both of these proposed legislative bills were initiated by the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority?
I do not know if they initiated those. It's my understanding they are supporting,
Okay.
they might have supporting for, what they did do is Chairman Heyman of the IWVGA sat in front of the Water, Wildlife, and Parks Committee and testified in support of AB 1413 and in support of AB 1466.
Okay.
And
Show the legislative.
And just so you know, the GA prepared this pretty little handout that says legislative proposal 2025, 2026 sessions. They're out there actively looking for authors and sponsors for legislation. That's all.
Is that document dated, Jim?
I think it's within the last, it is not, but it's within the last 30 to 45 days that I became aware of it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have, do we have have we voted on the second? All right, so
So we have
the motion to oppose,
get a motion and a second to oppose the less amended.
any further discussion of the board? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
President St. Amand,
Yes.
Vice President Griffin,
Yes.
Director Boyd, Director Kaczynski,
Yes.
Director Rator.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item E, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority, report and discussion regarding the meetings of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Chuck?
There is no report from the GA meeting this month because there wasn't one. It got canceled, the week prior to. I don't know the exact reason. I just got information it was lack of a quorum.
Okay.
So there was no meeting. The next meeting will be May 14th.
All right. Any questions?
No. No. It was a great meeting for me.
Okay. Any public
I thought you
comment?
were- I
or
thought you'd be more
questions?
relaxed.
I was, it was a stress.
I will make a quick comment as well, like,
Go ahead.
all, for reasons somewhat unknown, we have had no of our normal staff meetings as members of the GA, as the water district is. We haven't had a staff meeting with any of their representatives, which we normally don't get anything out of those staff meetings, but they're not even scheduled. The city has taken their reports on the GA off their last two city council meetings. Not really sure what's going on, so there's a deafening silence and no communication going on at this point in time, worth noting.
Okay, thank you. Any comment from the public? All right, then we'll go ahead to item F, comprehensive adjudication. Jim?
Summarize, I think probably most of it's been talked about really quick already. Phase one, the phase one trial regarding quantification of the Federal Reserve right, that is set on April 28th, and the court is in session Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 3 days a week. And I will go ahead and send the board, and Lauren can probably make this available. I believe there will be a link if the public wants to tune into everything. And then in that regard also, in this trial, there's a pretty set date for when the witnesses are going to be testifying. We'll go ahead and put that table out there for the dates and who's going to be there. So if you're interested to hear a Navy admiral testify or a historian, you have that option. So that's on, again, April 28th. Phase two, Judy just reminded everybody that the model disclosure date is April 21st, 2025. Everything's moving in that direction. I do not see anything changing that disclosure date. And then, unfortunately, we just discussed it, but most of the discovery on the phase two trial will begin after the phase one trial. So most of the action with respect to the adjudication is actually occurring in Sacramento with respect to legislation as opposed to the courts, which is disappointing. That's all I have.
Any questions from the board?
I'm sorry, I have a comment. There's also another thing, Jim, if you can make it available to the public, which is the first amended case management order for phase two, which gives all the dates. And it's pretty succinct on what date. And when you look at this, this actually is going to begin to happen pretty fast.
Right.
Everything's going on, but that should be available too. So it would answer questions like when the model's coming out, first exposures, things like that.
And so just for the record, you'll recall that the disclosure for the models was initially in February of this year, and we had a March 2026 trial date. As a result of the 2-month delay, everything's been pretty much kicked 60 days, and the new trial date for phase two will commence on June 1st, 2026. That's all I have. Yes, ma'am? Phase two will be the Safe Yield trial.
Do any other directors have questions? No. All right, Renee Westelusk, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I want to know, where is the link going to be posted So somewhere on the website, but where? And like, what time does this April 28th Phase 1 trial begin?
I believe it's 9 o'clock. Renee, I will defer to Lauren with respect to placement of these documents and the link.
We'll put it on the same page as all of the other comprehensive adjudication. It's on our main page. You just click on it, it will take you directly to there.
All right.
And then you're gonna post also, you said the dates for Phase 2?
Yes.
The witnesses.
We'll be posting a chart that has the names of the witnesses and the dates that they'll be testifying.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
For Phase 2 you're talking about?
And that's phase one. you
Phase
just said.
1.
Phase 2 is not set yet.
But what is available is the first amended case management order. Is that correct, Jim?
That's correct.
And that we can put
That
online.
is correct.
Basically, it's the case management order for phase 2 of the trial. It lays out the dates and scheduled dates as determined by the court. And it's been signed and filed. So we should post that online too.
And we will. And the dates pertain to the Phase 1 trial, Renee, that starts 2 weeks from today on the 28th of April.
Okay, so we just go to the website the day before to find the link and then be there at 9 a.m. on our computers and click on the link, and we should be able to hear the whole
I believe so,
trial
yes.
for that day.
That's my understanding, that you would be watching live.
Will we be getting a picture of any kind, or is it just gonna be a,
I think it's, if you watched any of the case management conferences up to date, I assume it would be comparable like that. There will be a picture of, probably multiple pictures at the time. I don't control how the court runs it.
The times I've watched, you can see the judge and generally the lawyers that are talking at the time.
But it
No.
seems far away though, but that is true.
how long does all this testimony, is it just a one-day thing, or is it gonna be put on for other weeks?
It's a 10-day, it's an estimated 10-day trial. When you go onto our website to look for the link, there'll also be a chart on there that will have a date, who will be testifying, either a historian or an expert. And then it will also have the estimated time that they will testify. Generally, it's between 5 and 6 hours per witness.
So if you look at this chart, for example, April 28, 2025, Captain Warren Van Allen, Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake Commanding Officer, will get direct for 3 hours and cross for 3 hours. It's a bunch of dates like that.
It's probably gonna take longer than 10 days.
No comment. I'm not sure. There's been a lot of planning going into when the witnesses are. Everybody recognizes that the Navy has some very high up people that are going to testify, and we've made arrangements to try to minimize the inconvenience to those individuals. I would expect everybody to try very hard to stay within the time limits within that chart. That's all.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Renee. All righty. Anything else? Then let's move on to G, item 1, water production, general manager's staff update.
Okay, March 2025, 129,618,000 gallons of water produced and 91,453 gallons consumed. No employee injuries, 33 conversations with WaterSmart, 20 field visits, 50 delinquent outlock offs. That's a good number. It's been higher the last few months. Water production is up slightly over last year.
It's about 2/3 of what it was last month, wasn't it? Yeah, good, going down. All right.
Yep.
All right. Any questions?
So I think, I like to provide these committee meeting updates, but most of the things we talked about in the committee meetings will either be discussed in the engineering or the operations segment, or have already been discussed. But In the Finance Committee, we talked about the fiscal year 2026 update, and we're working hard to put all that together and get it to the board, and that's going very well. We're getting all the information in. I don't think there's a separate report on that Ty had, but I like the way that we're progressing there. And under plant and equipment, we talked a little bit about recycled water, and I think anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, I think what we basically said is we're kind of awaiting what the city, or if the city is going to respond to our request for the water, and at this point, we're just awaiting that. Under admin exec, I believe we already talked about driver policy. We had one public records request. I don't know, oh, Jim's not here, but I know that is being worked in anticipation of it being released, and everything else is covered elsewhere.
Okay, thank you. All right. Public outreach.
Okay, nothing significant to report upcoming. I want Lauren to give a quick update on our conservation Indian Wells Valley, which I did think came up earlier as well.
So can you hear me? The Matarango Museum hosted the second annual Conservation in the IWV. Amber Chapin and I hosted the booth over the weekend. It was just the one day, but we did pass out a lot of literature on plants and shrubs in xeriscape that is sustainable in the high desert. This event always seems to bring out those types of questions, so it's a nice change of pace. And we did hand out hose nozzles and a lot of moisture meters and just had overall good participation from the public.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Okay, we, normal webpage updates. If you follow Facebook, the city continues posting in support of the Groundwater Authority on Facebook, and, well, I guess they continue to get kind of hammered for it. Not a lot of support there, is what it is. But certainly it has people talking, and certainly not in support of the pipeline or the GA at this point, if you were to base your opinions on what people post in Facebook anyway.
Okay.
We've forwarded a number of articles of local papers to the board as well.
All right, thank you. Lauren.
And just to let you know, we did have a booth at the Home and Leisure Show last month, the end of last month, and I did include the report in the packet.
Okay,
We
very
had a
good.
fairly good turnout at that event as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your efforts in that. in
And I
those
need to
areas.
apologize for omitting that from my report.
That's all right.
And thank you to the staff for that too, because they've handled all
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, my favorite topic, Northwest Transmission Pipeline.
Well, not a whole lot to report on that right now. They're working on the corrective work list. There's some items for Caltrans they need to finish up. And that's all I've got really right now for that particular project.
Any questions?
When's the pipe going away? I'm getting asked about the darn pipe in the desert again. Did Jim? Oh, Jim might have something.
It might have
Do we have any
Efforts
idea
to-
about getting that pipe out of the desert?
old pipe, Jim.
The old pipe?
I've been in contact with Nicholas Construction, and what I was advised that the equipment needed to remove the pipe was also needed to do work on the pipeline, and that the pipeline was prioritized. I did not get a date. It was shortly after the board approved the change order.
So they basically said,
After,
we'll get to it.
after they complete the change order, it sounds
I
like.
believe that's one
But
interpretation.
it sounds like
yes.
to me, let's hold them to that.
So
Okay.
I'm really frustrated with this
I know.
pipe that's laying in the desert. I'm catching people.
Oh, yeah,
calling,
I know.
Text. I've had city council members call. It's frustrating that we allowed per se, which we did not, but that's the perception that we allowed a contractor to dispose of a pipe on his personal property, not properly. So I don't know what legally we can do as far as retention, but I would not be on board with paying any retention owed until that pipe was removed.
Understood.
All right, just to make sure that we're clear with the public, the reason the pipes of issue is because the subcontractor responsible for disposing of them dropped out of their contract. And we are currently working with the legal department to make sure that this pipe is cleaned up, and we've been told that it's on their list of things to do, but it's going to take place after they've done the work on the Northwest Transmission Line.
But let's clarify that. It's a subcontractor to the contractor that put the pipe in, not to us.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. It's,
So-
so basically the contractor
We're,
responsible.
we're aware of it, we're on it, we're monitoring it, and we will take whatever necessary steps there are to make sure that it gets accomplished.
And I have talked to the county, and just the county of Kern is the one that would have authority over this, because truly it's a zoning violation. The property that it's on was not, is not zoned for storage of anything. So if things get, bad, we'll be going to the county. That's all.
All right? Thank you.
You have an online hand up, I think.
Go ahead, Renee.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Renee Westelusk. What is the timeline? I mean, seems like it's gonna drag on, and then the Rademacher neighborhood, phase 1, that really needs that new pipeline there. This could go on all summer.
Hang on, Renee, we'll get you some more updates. Just keep listening.
Okay,
That's coming up.
okay.
All right. Brady Street transmission pipeline break, my second favorite topic.
All right, so Brady Street, the original break was repaired, and the pipe was put back in service. The road patching was done, approved by the county. And then south of there, another leak developed. A wet spot was noticed by staff. Maintenance was out there digging up that area today. And I actually have a picture of I think it's the next slide. Yeah, out there doing that work, looking for where they could get the repair welded onto the steel out there. So right now, I mean, Jason can attest to what the plans are gonna be, but it seems like we're gonna repair this area and
Yeah, so
Ready for
about 7 to 8 feet south of where you can see the exposed pipe there, there's a point where we believe that we can weld the flange on and continue that section of 24-inch down and make it just one solid section of 24-inch, replacing that whole, call it 180 feet. It's hard, if you see right there you see that little stress fracture that runs along laterally?
Yep.
That's what
Yeah.
we're seeing along the entirety of the pipe, so that's the culprit.
Okay,
So
thank you.
That's currently the plan. We'll know more tomorrow.
And I will mention the change order that was approved for Nicholas to go under Highway 178 at Brady they're scheduled to mobilize May 1st. At this point, I'm waiting for a traffic control plan to submit a request to Caltrans for, a new, what am I missing? Permit, thank you. I'm a new permit there because it can't fall under the previous permit that we had. It's a new permit, so.
Okay,
I reminded him yet again today that we needed to get that in.
So Nicholas is not currently working on a project then?
As far as I know, but honestly, Justin keeps more in contact and he was out sick today, but when I talked to Caltrans last, I believe it was a week before, they still had some like delineators and things like that they had to get done.
I believe
But
that,
no, otherwise, no.
So my comment is that their falsehood that Jim was informed that the pipeline is taking precedent and the equipment is working on the pipeline is not a true statement.
Well, not at this time, but maybe they have to bring the equipment
Yeah,
back
let me-
in order
let me
to do
explain.
Brady.
so we approved for them to go under Brady, so they're gonna bring their equipment back out. I believe we were hoping to start around the 1st of May, is that correct? But that's
Yeah,
what we're
they've-
shooting for?
They have still told us that that's when they plan to mobilize.
So we expect that work to take a couple of weeks to get under Brady around the first 2 weeks in May. In a perfect world, that equipment would then go out and take care of all this pipe that needs to be disposed of. We will know that when we know that. The best I can tell you.
Yeah, trust them.
it's going to get resolved. And then they're going to have to clean it up because they have to face us and they have to face the county zoning committee. So this isn't just going to sit to the side.
Yeah, I
All right.
agree. We're not gonna let it, we're not gonna let them get away with it and just leave it there. We're gonna take whatever legal actions we have to ultimately to ensure they get rid of the pipe out in the desert.
Okay. Anything else? Item 6, water system consolidation update. Renee?
All right, well, I'll start with Dune 3. GHD is the consulting engineering firm. They're working on the final bid documents, contract documents, plans. And the agreement language between the district and Dune 3, we've been working on with Jim. And I know he's been trying to get in contact with the owner at Dune 3, but Jim and I were just speaking before the meeting and we feel that it's at the point where our state rep for the grant needs to send that on to state legal.
And in my opinion, has been for the past couple weeks. I prepared a draft consolidation agreement based on a bunch of different forms we had. I discussed it with Renee. There were a couple comments about Dune 3 as an entity and what their members were called, shareholders, how action takes place. I don't know any of that. So I had comments in there and she was hoping to have a very clean version. And I talked to him today. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'm not sure how much cleaner the version's going to be, but in my opinion, the consolidation is ready for review with or without me talking to Mr. Zagala.
Yeah, so I'll ask her tomorrow to please go ahead and send that on to the state. Because we're also waiting for them to get back to us on the agreement for getting onto the people's properties, doing the changeovers, that kind of stuff too. So the right of entry agreement. So we need to get that stuff wrapped up, not for just Dune 3, but also for Hometown. Because we've got 95% plans for Hometown that we've reviewed. We've sent back to Krieger and Stewart, making just a few minor changes. Then we'll get that submitted to the Division of Drinking Water for their approval, which is required for the grant.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with Hometown.
Director Rotora?
I was curious, what is the status of the Rademacher?
Next
That's
slide.
Stan. Next slide, Stan.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I gave it its own slide because I have some pictures to go on with it. So first of all, we got 95% plans for phase 2. Myself, construction crew staff is looking at that. They were out there today putting in the T at Rademacher and Springer. As a matter of fact, our construction supervisor just came by and they just finished that work. There's a picture of them with the T there, and they were putting that flange by ring adapter on when I was out there earlier. It turned out to take a lot longer than they thought it would be, and had to go farther down to get a valve to shut off and get the whole area dewatered. So it was quite the project just to get that T placed in there today, but it's done.
Okay.
And
So
that's the critical connection that will allow this project to proceed, correct?
yes. And then Krieger and Stewart was out there doing construction staking today for phase 1. So as soon as the construction crew is free to start laying pipe, they will do so. I believe that hinges on work on Brady Street. So just Jason can talk about that.
Yeah, so based on what we find at Brady, we may be renting an excavator to remove the pipe and do the work there, which will involve the construction crew mainly. Once that repair is done, we can go back to putting that first 1,000 feet of phase 1 on Rademacher. But the plan is still to have them in water before the summer months hit.
Okay.
okay. But in the meantime, we set up some type of a temporary way for the folks to get water.
They have a tank on their property.
They still have a well, and the one individual, I believe, we brought a Baker tank over, Chuck, I don't know when was the last time you filled that up.
Yeah, Chuck, you were filling up their tank out there for them, right?
Yeah, and I still need, I think we need to have it refilled again, so I'll get that taken care of again for them.
And the GA isn't going to meet this month, so you're good till next month.
Yeah, I've been
Well,
updating.
I think it's good. I mean, we started the project. It's going
Mhm.
and we're gonna do all we can do. I mean, we're there, we're working, we're gonna get water down that street. We're gonna have a pipeline installed. and
I
they'll
sent
have
an
to have
update
a-
today to the representative with Stetson Engineering that I've been communicating with about it, so
You know-
she knows what's going on.
And I'll say this, you know, the goal was to get these things done as quickly as possible, avoid a lot of the bureaucratic stuff that goes on with consolidations. And I want to say thanks to the staff for quickly reorganizing, hiring a new construction manager, putting together a construction crew, taking charge of our own system in a way that I think is super positive for the district and setting a good path for the future. So, you know, a lot of kudos as you see. This has come together in a matter of a month or so, and it's been a lot of work, but the staff they're amazing, and they're moving quickly, and we're adjusting quickly to the new realities that we face. And I think it's a fantastic thing to see how great they are.
Okay, anything else on that, Renee, that answer your question? Water service should be established.
Yes,
before the-
yes,
Okay,
Yes, it answers all my questions. Thank you.
Renee. All right, item 7, financial status. Yes, go ahead, Judy. One moment. Is this about the previous topic? All right, so we're going to go back to 6.
Regarding the pipeline that is in your system, have you come to an estimate yet of how many miles of pipeline you are going to have to replace and a timeline for it? I'm talking about your transmission pipelines. Well, I don't know if some of the older pipelines aren't even just ductile iron and not even cement coated.
We don't have
We
any
don't have any-
transmission lines that are ductile
We have
iron.
no ductile iron.
Okay, then the cement coated line, you have quite a bit of it. How many miles of it do you have?
It was about 20.
Yeah, we have
25.
3 miles on Brady, probably about 9, 10 miles on Bowman, and then another,
Couple miles probably.
yeah, on Springer.
But they weren't all put in at the same time.
No, they weren't all put in at the same time.
And they're apparently not all the same thickness of steel either. So
Right.
Some of them will be more robust than others. And so
Right,
our goal is to have a construction crew that's capable of replacing when needed and doing it quickly and mobilizing quickly.
so you don't have, you haven't set up a tentative plan for doing this.
I think engineering and the construction crew are just starting those discussions about how we prioritize projects and what the construction crew is going to get into first. So we need engineering to weigh in on with the construction crew, look at our capabilities. That part for the long-term planning, say over the next 5 years, is going to take a few more months.
And well, for instance, what about the lines in Norma and Las Flores, Drummond, Ward? I
Judy,
know the line
Judy.
in Ward was replaced.
Judy, hang on till the very end of the meeting, and I have something for you.
All right. All right, but you know, the district it covers a very large area,
Mm.
especially when you're talking about replacing expensive, large pipe.
I don't think there's been any determination yet, Judy, that we need to replace all of the transmission main.
So we're.
Well, I would hope not. but,
Right.
uh,
I'm hoping that we can get in there. There's some new technology that can go inside the pipe and actually give you the thickness of the steel. So I'm hoping for some of the newer stuff, we can take a look at it like that.
Well, having 2 boys that I helped raise and being a den mother, the motto, "Be prepared," is a really good one.
7, item 7, financial status, please.
Okay, so through March 2025, we have received 12.6 million in revenues, which is 1.38 million greater than the budget. Half of that attributed to increased water sales, the other half to the GA because of increased water sales. On the expenditure side, we have 13.6 million, which is 778,000 over budget. The majority of that is coming from the GA fees, pumping more, we're paying more. We're 1.1 million over budget on the GA fees. So we have a net, excuse me, a net negative 1 million, which is actually 600,000 better than the budget for this time. Capital expenditures, 7.4 million. Of that, just over 6 million is funded through either grants, assessment districts, or the bond funds. Debt service principal, 845,000, and total paid to the GA to date, $17,004,388.
You say that again?
$17,004,388.
How much is that, the replenishment fee?
Replenishment fee is
14
$13,855,000.
million, okay, all right.
All right, any other questions? Any questions from the public? Go ahead. All right, then we're going to move on to the arsenic treatment facilities, number 8.
So we are still trying to put the media into plant 2, the filter vessels there. The company shipped us the wrong gaskets. We're planning on the new gaskets arriving today. And once they're installed, we're able to close the back hatches and complete the process of installation. Once that's done, they will be disinfected and brought on, ready for summer.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All right, item 9, operations.
So I'm ahead.
What, where, oh, all right, sorry, Renee, you have a question on the arsenic treatment plants.
Yes, how long is it gonna take? Like, is it another 2 or 3 weeks to get the arsenic plant online and up and running?
Probably. That's a good guesstimate. Because it takes a while it's going to take a few days to get the media installed. That's not the only thing they're working on right now. It's going to take a few days to do the disinfection process. On brand new media, it consumes a lot of chlorine. And then we're going to run through the tests of making sure and take all the samples and send them to the lab. So it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks is a good estimate. Sometime in May, probably.
Okay, thank you.
Renee, did you want to discuss your conversations with the water board about the one well that seems to have low arsenic?
Yeah, I was looking over some of the results, just preparing our annual water quality report, and noticed that well 11, which is out there by Mahan and Las Flores, it's been frequently testing below the maximum contaminant level, well below the maximum contaminant level. So I sent an email to Division of Drinking Water and just asked them what it would take to take it off of a requirement to be treated for arsenic. And they said it would need to be 8 quarters below the maximum contaminant level, and we are at 7 quarters right now. So we have 1 more quarter sample, which will be in May. And if that one also tests below the maximum contaminant level, we can request a change in our permit so that we could just use that well directly into the system like we used to. We'll still have to keep sampling, keep an eye on the level of arsenic, but we have high hopes that maybe we can go back to using that like we used to before treatment. There's no use in consuming all those chemicals for something that's, got an arsenic level of 4 or 5. So.
Okay, all right.
Can't say that about 9 and 10 or 13.
Okay. Any questions for the operations report? Oh, we haven't, go ahead with this, item 9.
For the month of March, we had 4 replacements and 17 repairs. No DES did not run. It turned 6 valves, bringing us to a grand total of 20. As Renee reported earlier, the T was installed on Springer for phase 1 of Rademacher. The GIS completed their upgrade to version 3.0 and gave us the new treatment chemical module, which we are currently testing. And if you go to the next slide, this is what I was talking about, Judy. This is one of the features in our new GIS system, which is a heat map. The map on the left shows you all pipe that was installed in 1985. The map on the right shows you all, I'm sorry, I got them backwards. The map on the left is all the pipe that says it's 4 inches. The map on the right is the one that says it was installed in 1985. By overlaying these two maps, once we have all the red lines done, we'll be able to see exactly how old pipe is and what condition, what type of pipe it is. So we'll be able to get a good plan going forward about what pipe to replace first. It is nifty.
There's always a yes, but. Yes, but
But
the Northwest transmission line was put in after 1985.
I just use that as an example. It goes all the way back to 1950.
Good heavens.
Okay. Any questions regarding operations? Then let's go to item 10, board comments and future agenda items. Director Kaczynski, anything?
Just again, a comment to staff. I mean, there's so much work going on right now, the operations, the maintenance, and it's all seemed to coming in at one time. So I truly appreciate the staff and all those guys out there doing this work. And I know there's more of it to come, but I trust you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Griffin.
I echo Director Kaczynski's comments, but hope everybody has a great Easter with their families and remember why it's here.
Thank you. Director Rotora.
I guess I'd like to say the same thing as the previous two speakers. Things are complex. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm just real glad that we're on top of all of it. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Director Boyd.
Now, everybody's taking my thunder. Thank you, but yeah. Obviously, the crew is doing a really good job. We're happy, super happy. I also wanted to just point out, though, that Jason should win the award tonight for best preparation for an anticipated question that he had no idea that was coming from Judy. I mean, he was able to just, boom, flow right into it. Although I have to admit, I didn't see whether or not he was able to modify what was on the iPad in real time.
Oh,
So,
okay.
But good job.
Sweet mother of mercy. All right. I want to thank the staff for their effective public efforts to publicize conservation in both those events. I very much appreciate it. And on the staff in general for juggling several high priority projects, some of which were pop-ups, some of which were planned, such as the Rademacher extension. I'm very pleased to see that you're able to be flexible enough to keep all of them moving forward at a pace where we can anticipate them being completed in a reasonable amount of time. So thank you very much. And item 11, date of next regular board meeting is May 12, 2025, May 12. Yes, sir. Yes, my phone chirped this morning. It said duck and cover. And I went, what? And then it said earthquake in San Diego. And I went, I'm not going to move from my chair. So, but there's the, yep. Originally reported as something like the Mag 7, it ended up being registered down at about a 5.4, 5.2. There are applications you can put on your cell phones that will help you. If there's a big earthquake, it'll notify you in advance that it's coming, enough time to maybe move to safety. We're overdue for the earthquake on the San Andreas from, let's say, Lancaster, Palmdale up to Coalinga, which could be anywhere from mid-7 to mid-8, general estimates. And of course, it's further away than our magnitude 7 that we had back in 2019. So the shaking might be less intense, but it's going to last a lot longer because the S&P waves will have time to separate themselves as they move away from the, travel at different velocities and move away from the earthquake fault. So be prepared. You want, according to California's Office of Emergency Services, you want about a 30-day food supply. I recommend that. And the Water District's done pretty well in earthquakes in the past. So the probabilities are high that you'll have water service, but you should have about a week's worth of water in storage at your house for every every person and pet. So please be prepared. There's all sorts of organizations out there, the Red Cross, California Office of Emergency Services, and so on and so forth. So get ready. It's coming. And that'll be a surprise, but it shouldn't be a surprise to see everybody happy and well-fed and watered if it does happen. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting adjourned at 7:22 p.m. Thank you for your time and attention.